I was 3 days into my first real vacation in almost 9 years. Clearwater Beach, toes in the sand, cold beer in hand, when I felt my phone buzz. Slack. Subject line: quick thing. Can you log in for a few hours? I blinked at the screen like I was hallucinating. 9 years. 9 straight years of killing myself for Landcroft Systems. Working through holidays. Hey, appreciate the note, but I'm currently on approved leave. Let's reconnect once I'm back in office. Hit send. Flipped my phone screen down, took another drink. An hour later, it buzzed again. Subject: status change. Notification. No greeting, no explanation, just a PDF. I tapped it open, and there it was. Termination effective immediately. No cause listed. Severance revoked due to non-cooperation. It didn't even come from my boss. Some automated HR bot dumped it on me like I was late returning a laptop. I actually laughed. The guy in the beach chair next to me turned his head, kind of startled. I must have looked insane. Just some sunburned guy in cargo shorts laughing at his phone like it told a joke. I didn't explain. I didn't freak out. I didn't even reply. I took another sip of my beer, leaned back, and flipped the phone over again. Because what they didn't know, what they'd completely forgotten, was the one thing I'd been waiting years to use. They had just walked face first into a buzzsaw. Quick note: before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I didn't panic. I didn't yell. I smiled. Because 3 years earlier, during the merger with Halston Tech, I saw what was coming. The layoffs, the reshuffles, the double speak. They called it streamlining. I called it a knife in the back, and I wasn't about to stand there waiting for my turn. So I got smart. I hired Linda Carver. She didn't come cheap, $8.75 an hour, plus a retainer that made me sweat. But she was the real deal. Corporate firms hated her. HR teams whispered her name like a curse. The kind of lawyer who didn't smile in meetings and didn't negotiate. She demolished companies from the inside out and walked away without a scratch. We met twice. I told her I wanted something airtight. Not just severance, leverage, insurance for when the corporate axe inevitably swung my way. Clause 12.4D was the result. If terminated during approved active PTO, employee shall receive full severance, plus 5 months' salary as penalty, plus mandatory public disclosure in quarterly shareholder reports. Buried it deep inside a 48-page executive retentions bundle that legal was pushing out to calm nerves post-merger. I remember the VP of HR at the time, Dennis something, waved it through with a joke about just another stack of nonsense. He didn't read past page 15, hell, maybe not even 10. They were too busy scrambling to keep people from jumping ship. But I remembered every change, every clause, every signature. And when that firing email came through, I didn't get mad. I got organized. I forwarded it straight to Linda. No commentary, just the email, the contract, and my PTO approval screenshot. All time-stamped, all clean. Less than 5 minutes later, she replied, 5 words. They're going to regret this. That's when I knew I was holding the knife now, not them. I refreshed my inbox, cracked another beer, and waited. Linda didn't waste time. She just dropped the breach notice straight into my inbox with her name stamped across the header like a threat carved into metal. She filed it with Landcroft's in-house team, their outside counsel, and, on purpose or not, CC'd me right under the subject line. Anyone scrolling would see my name before they even hit the body of the email. Clause 12.4D triggered. Termination during approved PTO. Full severance plus penalty. Mandatory public disclosure. Immediate response required. I pictured the legal floor back in Chicago lighting up like a kicked anthill. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed nonstop. Slack notifications from channels I hadn't been in for months. Contract PDFs suddenly opening and closing in my shared drive history. Someone was pulling logs so fast it looked like a slot machine. Then Linda forwarded something to me. No note, no explanation, just a screenshot, an HR thread. Someone had typed, "Wait, this clause is real." And then, right after it, like a gift, they tagged the CFO by accident. You could practically feel the panic bleeding through the screen. They must have realized their mistake and tried to delete it, because the screenshot was time-stamped 30 seconds before the thread disappeared from the system. But Linda already had it, And now so did I. I sat back in my hotel chair and felt the kind of satisfaction that didn't need cheering or fist pumping. It was quieter than that, heavier. Another email hit. This one from their general counsel, subject line dripping with corporate desperation. We'd like to schedule a meeting to clarify terms. Clarify, that was cute. Linda called me a second later. She didn't waste time with hello. They're scrambling, she said. Outside counsel didn't know about the clause. In-house didn't know. CFO didn't know. They're trying to centralize damage control. I asked, what's the play now? I turned the screws. She said, you stay quiet. That was her style. She liked silence on my end because it made them guess what I was thinking. It made them nervous. Another burst of emails rolled in from the same GC. Different wording. Same plea. Clarify. Discuss. Understand intent. Linda forwarded each one to me with a single line. Do not reply. I didn't. I sat on the balcony of my hotel room, with the ocean wind pushing against my shoulders, and watched a gull steal food off an empty table. Meanwhile, now it was their turn to bleed. Friday morning, I sat in the hotel room, wearing flip-flops and a wrinkled t-shirt. My laptop was propped on the desk next to half a bottle of sunscreen and a bowl of stale pretzels. 10 minutes before the call, Linda texted, keep camera off, don't speak unless I say. Didn't bother replying. She already knew I'd listen. The Zoom launched right at 9. Her face filled the screen first. Hair tied back, dark blazer, no smile. Then the squares started popping in. General counsel, stiff suit, no background blur. Outside counsel, some junior guy from their New York firm, clearly already sweating. And then Kevin, CEO, tan, fake calm, perfect haircut, sitting in some sterile boardroom with glass walls and too much natural light. He opened with the usual fake warmth. Morning, everyone. Appreciate you taking the time. Linda didn't respond. She clicked something off screen. A PDF appeared in the shared view, scrolling straight to page 6. Highlighted section, bold text. Let's begin, she said. Clause 12.4, D. No fluff, no intro. Just the kill shot. She walked them through the paragraph word for word. Termination during PTO, 5-month salary penalty, required disclosure. She didn't pause or soften a thing. Then she clicked to the next document, the termination email. Time-stamped, no greeting, no cause. Then the Slack message, quick thing, can you log in? With the timestamp sitting exactly 1 hour before the termination file was sent. Outside counsel leaned forward. You could hear his mouse clicking, probably trying to figure out if this was real or if she was bluffing. It wasn't. Kevin finally spoke. I want to be clear. This was not something I authorized. If there's been a breakdown in HR process, we'll address it internally. Linda didn't even blink. Authorization is irrelevant. Ownership is not. She clicked again. Up came another document, the board ratified contract from 2 years ago. Page 13, she said. Signature block. She zoomed in. Kevin Monroe. Dated. Final copy. He looked down, then stopped speaking altogether. Silence followed. Heavy. No one moved. Even the junior counsel just stared. Linda broke it after about 5 seconds. This clause isn't hypothetical, she said. It's binding. Another pause. Then the general counsel cleared his throat and said, I believe the next step is to reconvene with the board. Do that, Linda said, but I'll need confirmation in writing by Monday. Understood, the GC replied. No one said goodbye. No one thanked anyone. They just started logging off. I didn't say a single word the whole time. Once the call ended, I shut the laptop, kicked off the flip-flops, and stepped out onto the balcony. They were rattled, and we were just getting started. 2 days later, Linda emailed me the memo. Subject line, you'll want to see this. I opened it, expecting some dry legal update. What I got was a bomb. Internal audit findings. Confidential distribution only. It wasn't just me. Clause 12, 4D had slipped into 2 executive contracts during the Halston merger window. Legal had estimated the exposure at over $4.5 million. The summary section was loaded with red flags, but it was paragraph 7 that hit hardest. Material breach risk due to legacy clause inclusion. They buried it halfway down, like it wouldn't scream off the page. I scrolled down further. Another line. 2 words that said everything. Action, pending. The HR director's name popped up in the footer. Sharon R. Young. I stared at it for a second. Sharon, the same woman who once denied my bereavement leave when my dad died, said the policy required pre-approval and didn't qualify under the standard tier. My father. She looked me dead in the eye that day and told me to focus on the work. And now she was listed under Personnel Accountability Review. I called Linda. She's the one who blocked me when my dad passed, I said. She's the one on leave as of this morning, Linda replied. No public announcement, no internal memo, just gone. No headlines, no Slack blast. They scrubbed her bio from the website before lunch. Disappearance by policy, Linda added. It's how they clean up messes without admitting one happened. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. This wasn't that kind of victory. This was surgical, controlled, like watching a controlled demolition from a mile away. And I wasn't done watching. The audit memo had been leaked from someone inside. Linda didn't say who. I didn't ask. But whoever it was clearly wanted me to see the blood starting to spill. And it had just started. No lawsuits had even been filed yet. No investor calls, no press coverage. But under the surface, the company was cracking. All of it started from one Slack message during PTO. One decision to test how far they could push a loyal employee. They expected silence. They got this. I didn't post about it. Didn't text old coworkers. Didn't even tell my brother. I just stayed still. Let the walls shake on their own. 3 days later, Linda sent me a PDF with the subject line. Page 17. It was Landcroft's Q3 filing. Public. SEC time stamped. I opened it and scrolled. Right there, page 17, under risk factors. Executive contractual liabilities under clause 12.4D may result in material exposure. No name, no context. But they quoted the clause exactly as we wrote it, word for word. Legal didn't even bother trying to bury it behind jargon. They just dumped it mid-document like a live grenade. I scrolled back up, confirmed the sign-off date. The CFO had approved it 3 days earlier. He'd signed off without realizing they were about to admit, publicly, that they'd screwed up in writing. Now, every investor, every board member, and every compliance officer on the planet had eyes on it. The panic came fast. 2 hours after the filing hit, Linda forwarded me a thread from an investor newsletter. Under notable disclosures, they'd bolded Landcroft's entry. Analysts were already speculating breach size, payout timing, and executive fallout. By noon, a former board member filed an official contract review request with the audit committee. Linda just texted, "They're bleeding out faster than they realize." She wasn't wrong. The moment the clause went public, the pressure flipped. They weren't just answering to me now. They were answering to shareholders, regulators, lawyers, the damn internet. People don't care about wrongfully terminated execs, but they care about risk. And $4.5 million buried in a footnote, that's the kind of thing that makes phone calls start flying. I was still on the beach, same spot, same chair, my flip-flops half buried in the sand. The waves were low, sun just enough to keep the sweat off my beer. I didn't text anyone, didn't post, just watched the tide roll in. Behind me, Landcroft's entire legal department was scrambling to explain a clause they had signed, ignored, triggered, and then admitted. All within a week. It didn't need more noise. It just needed time. 2 days after the filing, it came through. Subject line: severance reassessment, proposal from HR, generic sender, no name attached. I tapped it open. Read it once, then again, just to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. They were offering to restore the original severance agreement with a goodwill bonus, in recognition of your years of service and dedication. Goodwill bonus, I laughed, loud, startled the couple next to me on the beach. I didn't explain, just leaned back, tilted my head to the sky, and let the absurdity sink in. They thought they were doing me a favor. I hit forward, sent it straight to Linda with no note. She replied within 5 minutes. Mr. Monroe's severance is neither negotiable nor conditional. Payment deadline is attached. Late fees will apply. Clean, cold, final. She CC'd it to legal, HR, and the general counsel. Deadline in bold. She didn't threaten. She didn't warn. She informed. That's how you choke out a settlement. You don't fight over it. You set the price and let them watch the clock tick. 6 hours later, they tried a different route. Voicemail this time. PR guy. one of those forced friendly voices that grins through every syllable. "Hey, just wanted to reach out and see if there's a chance we could all land in a good place here. You've been such an important part of the Landcroft family, and, well, we want to honor that." I played it twice, then deleted it. I already had my good place. I'd been in it since the moment they CC'd me on their panic spiral, but not where they thought. Their version of peace was a check and a clean break. Mine looked more like leverage, erosion, and a slow public bleed that never quite stopped. Linda sent one more email before midnight. Subject: no further contact. Permitted without counsel's Lustaubes present. Game over. While Landcroft spun out trying to patch the hole they punched in their own chest, I was busy elsewhere. Leverpath. Small operations firm out of St. Louis. Low profile. Sharp leadership. Real hungry. They weren't trying to be flashy. They were just picking off Landcroft's cast-offs one by one. Quiet wins, long plays. I didn't take a title. Didn't want one. I wasn't there to run meetings or build decks. I bought in quietly. Equity, no office, no nameplate, just leverage. My first move was personal, but not petty. A regional logistics company in Indiana. They'd dumped Landcroft 6 months earlier after a series of technical missteps, which, if you read between the lines, meant Landcroft overcharged them for bad data and ghosted them when it blew up on site. I knew the account. I'd worked the back end years ago. I also knew exactly how Landcroft structured their ops for mid-tier clients. Poorly. Sloppy contracts, outsourced tech, zero follow-through. So I made a few calls. Leverpath landed the deal in 3 weeks. The logistics company didn't even blink, just signed and asked when we could start. We didn't just beat Landcroft on price. We rewrote the whole structure. Real support, real numbers, custom dashboards instead of recycled PowerPoints. Every dollar they tried to withhold from my severance, I used it to eat their contracts alive. No drama, no noise, just results. Landcroft didn't even realize what was happening until 3 other clients followed. One CFO even called Leverpath directly, said, "We were just waiting for someone to give us a reason." Turns out all those clients remembered the same thing I did, being ignored. They didn't care about who was right or wrong. They cared about who showed up. And this time, I was behind the wheel. Linda called me after the 3rd deal closed. "You enjoying this?" she asked. "I'm not here for revenge," I said. "No," she replied. "You're here for position." Exactly. I wasn't swinging back at Landcroft to make myself feel better. I was building something under their feet. Slow, quiet, impossible to stop once it started moving. One Slack message, that's all it took. They treated it like a flick, a nudge, but it cost them 7 figures and counting. I didn't twist the knife. I just let it fall. That quarter's investor call was brutal. I wasn't on it, but I listened to the recording later. You could feel the tension through the playback. Long pauses, clipped answers, background shuffling like someone kept bumping the table. Then came slide 17. One bullet point: unrealized executive liabilities stemming from non-compliant terminations. No spin, no excuse. Just a polished bullet on a white background, sitting there like it didn't matter. But it did. Kevin, the CEO, didn't speak once during the call. Not during intros, not during Q&A. Just sat there, mic muted, staring down while the CFO choked through answers. I'd seen that look before. Not panic, just the slow, dawning weight of knowing you backed the wrong play, and now the whole building's shifting beneath your feet. The analysts caught it. The investors caught it. Even the interns at the bottom of the call notes probably caught it. That something big had cracked open behind closed doors, and no one knew how wide it would spread. I wasn't in the room. I didn't need to be. I was the line they couldn't erase, the clause they quoted, the screw-up they couldn't spin or bury in boilerplate. They thought they were trimming fat. Instead, they carved through the bone. That night, I sat in my new office. Nothing fancy. No glass walls, no fake art on the walls, or glass trophies with made-up award names. Just a worn desk, a second-hand chair, and a half-empty bottle of bourbon. The window looked out at a loading dock. Perfect view of nothing. I poured one. No ice, no toast. Just sat there and let the silence stretch. Then I opened my laptop, pulled up the thread. Slack ping, termination email. Linda's first reply. Every offer, every lie, every fake olive branch. I read through it all, slow. No emotion. Like watching the last minutes of a movie I'd already seen 5 times. Then I highlighted the whole thread, hit delete. Not saved, not archived, not filed away for a rainy day. Deleted. Because I didn't need it anymore. The fight was over. The numbers were written. The damage was done. They took my severance. I took their future.